Hi, I'm Patrick Reagan. Welcome to Windows Tools, Part 15, the Registry and Regedit. During this video, we will show what is the registry and how the registry relates to the common Windows settings. We will then show you how to manage your registry settings. As always, stick around for the practice questions at the end to test your knowledge and help you prepare for the A+ exam. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to click the like button, and if you have not already, subscribe to the Pat Has Your Back channel for more tech training content and technical know-how. The registry in Microsoft Windows is a hierarchy database used to store information that is necessary to configure the system for one or more users, applications, services, and hardware devices. It contains information that Windows continuously references during operation, such as profiles for each user, including the colors, background image, and fonts chosen for the user, the application installed on the computer, and the types of documents that each can create, the property sheet settings for folders, what hardware exists on the system, and the ports that are being used. It is also used to keep track of various user settings, such as the user's home directory, logon server that the user is currently using, the user's domain, and the location of the current user profile. In the Windows registry, a hive is a logical group of keys, subkeys, and values that has a set of supporting files containing backups of its data. You can think of a hive as a major starting folder or a root-level container that holds a specific branch of the registry's database. While the registry looks like one big database in the Registry Editor, it is actually stored on your hard drive as several discrete binary files. The hives you see at the top level of the Registry Editor all begin with H-key, such as H-key local machine. Most system hives are located in the system root system32 config directory. Every user on the computer has their own specific hive stored in a file called NTUSER.DAT within the user profile folder, such as c:\users \username \NTUSER.DAT. Copying registry hive files directly from the config folder is restricted while Windows is running because the files are constantly in use and locked by their system. To copy the actual original files from the config folder without restrictions, you must access them while Windows is not active, such as booting from another drive, use special forensic tools, or use the regsave command. Most PCs have 5 hives. HKey class as root keeps track of default file association. This is how your computer knows how to open a Word or an Excel document. HKey local machines has settings that affect the entire computer. It contains passwords, boot files, software installation files, and security settings. This hive is abbreviated as HKLM and is the most critical hive. HKey current config is a real-time measurement of different hardware activities. Information in this hive isn't saved permanently to the registry. HKey current user contains a key that contains the settings specific to your username in Windows that is currently being used. Examples of settings include user's desktop wallpaper and colors, installed application preferences, and personal settings. The hive is abbreviated as HKCU. The HKey current user is saved back to the HKey users when a user logs off. HKey users, like the current user hive, except for it's when more than one user is logged on to the server or computer. It contains a list of hives for every user who is logged into the computer. Registry keys are containers that act like folders with values or subkeys contained within them. Registry values are similar to files, not containers, which are the settings themselves. Key settings are very granular, consisting of numbers and codes that dictate the settings. For example, how fast a letter repeatedly appears on your screen when you hold down its key. The registry keys and values are case insensitive. There are several different types of registry value data types. regdword is a numeric value that contains a 32-bit integer. It is the most common data type. Other data types include regqword, which is a numeric value that contains a 64-bit integer, regbinary, which is a value that contains binary data such as an image or sound file, and regsz, which is a string value that contains text data such as a username or folder path. regmultisc is a string value that contains multiple strings separated by null characters. This is often used for lists or arrays of values. To view and modify the registry, you would use Registry Editor or regedit.exe. Typically, you should only make modifications when you're following specific instructions for a specific setting where there's no mainstream program or interface, such as the control panel or settings, to make the appropriate changes. Editing the registry can be dangerous, particularly if you don't know what you're doing. However, if you know what you're doing, just follow the instructions and only change the settings you're instructed to change, and you will be fine. Before making changes, you should consider to back up the registry settings so that you can revert back if necessary. To create a new key, you would right-click the desired node and click New Key. To create a value, you would right-click the desired node and click New and select the data type that you would like to create. To create a DWORD, you would right-click the desired node and click New DWORD 32-bit value. In either case, you then name the key or value and press Enter. To modify the key or value, you would double-click the key to open a dialog box and modify the values. To delete a key or value, you right-click the key or value and click Delete. To rename a key or value, you would right-click the key or value and click Rename. After you open a registry and navigate to the desired node, to create a new key, right-click the node and click New Key and name the key. You then right-click the node and click the desired type of field. In this case, we are creating a DWORD value. You then name the value and then set the value. Here, we're creating a new string value. And here, we're creating a multi-string value. Much like files and folders, registry entries are objects which have permissions. The registry provides three groupings of these permissions. Full control permissions gives complete access to the registry and includes all permissions. The read permission allows you to query and read the object. And special access lets administrators choose any combination of permissions for a user or group. The reg file is a text-based, human-readable file for exporting and importing portions of the registry using an INI-based syntax. To export or back up the registry setting node, right-click the desired key and click File, Export. To import or restore the registry, double-click the .reg file. To modify the contents of a reg file, you can open the file with a text editor. For example, right-click the reg file and click Open With, choose another app, More Apps, Notepad, and click OK. When you export a key, all subkeys and values will be exported. If you only want the file to be used to update or add certain values, just remove the lines that you don't want. However, the header, Windows Registry Editor version 5.00, must remain, and for each value, the corresponding key value has to say, such as HKey local machine /system/test. To export a registry node, right-click a node and click Export. Then specify where to save the reg file and its name. To import a reg file, you can double-click a reg file, click Yes to import, followed by clicking OK. Sometimes you may need to refresh the register key by pressing the F5 key or opening the View menu and clicking Refresh. To import a reg file, such as file.reg, using a command, you would use one of the following commands: regedit file.reg, and if you don't want to be prompted to confirm, you would add the /s parameter. Regedit file.reg/s. Uninstall strings for programs are primarily located in the Windows registry under the uninstall keys. The most common locations are shown on the screen. The uninstall string value indicates the command you would use to uninstall the specified program. Windows service parameters and configuration settings are primarily located in the registry under HKey local machine, /system, /current control set, /services, and then the service name. Specific configuration parameters are often found in a subkey named parameters within the service key. For example, the landman server node is the server service. The shares node lists all of the shared folders created on the system. Whenever Windows boots, the shares node is read and the shared folders are reestablished with the specified shared permissions. Windows policy settings are primarily stored in the registry under HKey local machine, /software, /policies, which are machine-wide, and HKey current user, /software, /policies, which is user-specific. Other key locations include HKLM, /software, /Microsoft, /Windows, /current version, /policies, and the System32 group policy directory. In the Windows registry, software holds settings for native 64-bit applications on 64-bit systems, which are stored in HKey local machine, /software. While HKey local machine, /software, /while6432 node acts as a separated, redirected registry branch for 32-bit applications. This separation allows 32-bit applications to run on 64-bit Windows without registry conflicts with 64-bit software. This mechanism ensures compatibility, preventing 32-bit apps from overriding 64-bit settings, similar to how the 32-bit apps use program files x86 instead of program files. Refer to these websites shown on the screen for some examples of using the registry to configure Windows. For example, to add command prompt to context menu, use Windows Photo Viewer instead of Photo App, show detailed information at startup, disable Shake to minimize, add any program to Windows 11 context menu, and stop automatic updates on Windows 11. Of course, changes to the registry should not be treated lightly. You should only make changes if you're following a trusted source of instructions or have specific experience and/or knowledge on changing specific values. Question: what is the name of the executable file that you use to open Registry Editor? Answer: regedit. Question: what are HKey current user and HKey local machine examples of? Answer: hives. Question: what type of file would you use to import settings into the registry? Answer: .reg file. Question: how many bits is a regd word? Answer: 32 bits. Question: what registry value type would you use to store a text message? Answer: regSZ. For more information, refer to these sites. In summary, the registry in Microsoft Windows is a hierarchy database used to store information that is necessary to configure the system for one or more users, applications, services, and hardware devices. The main branches of the registry are called hives. Registry keys are containers that act like folders with values or subkeys contained within them. Registry values are similar to files, not containers, which are the settings themselves. To view and modify the registry, you would use the Registry Editor or regedit.exe. Typically, you should only make modifications when you're following specific instructions for a specific setting where there's no mainstream program or interface, such as the control panel or settings, to make the appropriate changes. Much like files and folders, registry entries are objects which have permissions. The .reg file is a text-based human-readable file for exporting and importing portions of the registry using an INI-based syntax. Thank you for watching this video. The next video will be Windows Tools, Part 16, Understand Windows Group Policies and Local Policy. If you like this video, click the like button. And if you have not already, subscribe to the Pat Has Your Back channel. Thank you.